So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Richard Ovenden. I am Bodley's Librarian, and I have the pleasure of chairing the GLAM Digital Strategy Implementation Group and Digital Content Board, under whose auspices you are warmly invited to join us this afternoon for the first inaugural GLAM Digital Showcase, and most importantly, to come down to the main gallery floor of this great museum to join us in a grown-up beverage and to interact with one another in a face-to-face manner. You can stand and do that via your smartphones if you wish, but we encourage you to enjoy conversation and high community with each other. After, you will hear an update from Helen and John on what's going on very briefly, and then, more importantly, a series of very interesting brief presentations on all sorts of interesting digital activity that is going on in our community across the digital spectrum. It's 2 years ago, some of you may have been indeed in this room 2 years ago when we launched the GLAM digital strategy and also repaired to the lower floors of this museum to enjoy a grown-up beverage. And it's a wonderful opportunity, therefore, to reflect on what a huge amount of work we've been able to achieve together across the GLAM institutions with our colleagues in various other parts of the university, most importantly IT services and the academic divisions, to move forward our agenda in this university to become a more digital organisation. And some of the things that we've achieved in that time have been the launch of 3 new websites at the Ashmolean, the Botanic Garden and the Museum of Natural History, with more to come, are hot on their heels. We have done a great deal of work on consolidating collection databases. Indeed, the Museum of Natural History's own group, a collection of databases, indeed, over 200 of them consolidated down into just one. We have introduced a new volunteer management system across GLAM. We have worked very closely with our colleagues in the Humanities Division to develop the Cabinet resource and to seek its adoption outside in the academic community. And you can see the latest iteration of Cabinet after this session downstairs in the main galleries. And we have undertaken a successful pilot of a linked open data system and improved access to over 20,000 manuscripts through a text encoding initiative catalogue enhancement project in the Bodleian. But we have a huge range of projects under the auspices of the GLAM digital strategy that we are continuing to take forward, and we have a whole host of important things coming up, which I hope you'll hear a little bit more about today. And they range from sort of really core collections work that's going to improve the management of our collections through to public engagement activities, so the work that we all undertake to reach broader and broader audiences. So we are going to continue to build on this, and we are seeking funding wherever we can find it. Stones are being turned over wherever we can find them, to find the resources to really bring us up into being one of the world's leading digital organisations of our kind. And today's event is the first on what we hope will be a series of showcases that share within our own community some of that leading work that we're doing. And we hope to be able to contribute not only to within Oxford more broadly to the academic divisions, but also across the cultural heritage sector and the information management sector more broadly. And we have a whole variety of interesting and important collaborations going on, and I'm sure that more will come both internally inside Oxford and externally as well. So I'm going to stop, you'll all be pleased to hear, And at this point, I'm going to introduce John, who is next up. Are you next up, or is it Helen? No, it's you. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand for John Ray. Can't hear you.
This feels very formal. Hello, everyone. So my name's John Ray. I'm Programme Manager for the GLAM Digital Strategy. I only have 2 or 3 things to say, and it sort of builds on what Richard was sort of talking about. Last week, I'm slightly jet lagged. Last week I was at a session in Denver, which was a conference called MCN, which is a collection of over 500 people from across museums and libraries, academic and public, North America, or sort of USA, Canada, and quite a lot of attendees from Europe as well. So people from Yale, Harvard, Smithsonian, the Paris museums, a collection of 14 civics museums that exist in Paris, the Van Gogh Museum. So a really broad collection talking about the sort of issues facing digital in the sort of space today. And what was really sort of positive and really interesting was most of the themes and most of the conversations are the conversations that we're already tackling or addressing or thinking about or have thought about. And I suppose it's to Richard's point is actually we're doing a lot of this stuff already, and really there's a great opportunity to share both internally what we're doing, both under the digital strategy but also more broadly across the university. And I think particularly as we look towards what we might do next calendar year is how do we get out there much more and tell people about the great stuff that we're doing. Because when we look at what's happening in Oxford already against what people are doing in other institutions, we've got a really great story to tell. And the more we tell that story, the more likely we are to tap into more money, tap into more opportunities for collaboration and build more momentum and grow and grow and grow. So it's a sort of a real plea to sort of say, if you've got great ideas, if you've got things that you want to do, please do come and see us, please do come and talk to us. Because we're really keen to sort of facilitate that and see how we can make that happen and start to sort of showcase what we can do. And as an example of that, Helen is going to talk to us about some things that we can start to explore. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Helen. I'm the Digital Engagement Lead for GLAM. So very warm welcome to you all this afternoon. So this event is one of a series of initiatives that we're hoping to launch under the banner of something we're calling GLAM Labs. You might have heard of other sort of labs happening in cultural institutions. The focus of our one is going to be about developing an organisation that can confidently test, develop, pilot and evaluate the use of technology to enhance our users' experiences in both our physical and our virtual spaces. It's also about creating an ethos of sharing expertise between colleagues, of developing digital skills in our teams, and of digital experimentation. So, we're really pleased to announce that's GLAM Labs. It's also about efficiencies, and that's the last point, which is that actually a lot of us are trying to do the same things, but we don't often talk to each other about them, and we end up duplicating effort and creating similar tools. So a lot of what we're trying to do is encourage that communication so that we can identify where there are shared ambitions between GLAM institutions and come up with projects that serve both those needs. So yeah, we're very excited to announce that we're going to be joining forces with the IT Innovation Challenge Fund next year. The Innovation Challenges have already been an effective vehicle for successfully seed funding GLAM initiatives to date. Successful examples include Cabinet, digital sketchbooks, the Pocket Curator app at MHS, and we are now looking for a special call for small projects between £10,000 and £15,000 that really seek to add value to our user experience of our collections, our buildings, our resource, and our programmes. We want to encourage a spirit of collaboration, so these applications could be from other divisional staff, they could be from students, they could also be from third parties. We just ask that obviously there's a GLAM sponsor, a sort of host involved in the project. The idea is they're quite sort of quick and fast, So the applications would open in January and the projects would need to be sort of complete within a year. So the idea is not to sort of go for these big £60,000, £100,000 projects where there's a very big emphasis on delivering a usable service, but rather a sort of quick experimental attempt to come up with a pilot or a prototype to test it, and also allow for it to fail, because that's often not what we do very well here. So all the information about this is on a blog that the IT Innovation team have published this afternoon. So do go to that address. You'll see all the details about how we plan to structure the fund and all the application deadlines and so on. The initial call for proposals will close at the end of will open beginning of January and close at the end of the month. So you've got a bit of time to sort of get thinking about what you might want to do. Okay. So the final things from me before we get going are a couple of housekeeping things. Ian down here is taking photographs, so if you really don't want to be captured on camera, do tap him on the shoulder and tell him to get lost. We're also recording the talks, and they will be quite fast-paced, so don't worry about sort of writing very rushed notes. You will be able to access the talks after the event on the website. There's no planned fire drills, so if the fire alarm goes off, it is a real one. The evacuation route is through the main front door, unless that is blocked, and there are fire exits at all the corners of the museum, and the meeting point is by the big tree on the lawn. Toilets are downstairs, that side of the building, near the annex. And I think that's it. So I will hand over to our next speaker,